Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about three manga that probably slipped under the radar of shoujo manga fans, so let's get right to it. Our first manga is Atsumori-kun's Bride-to-Be, which is about Nishiki, a girl in her second year of junior high who already has a fiancé named Takara. However, Takara is also the love interest and childhood friend of Kanoka, Nishiki's best female friend. Therefore, we have a love triangle, and Nishiki begins to see her presence as an obstacle to her best friend's love life. Additionally, Nishiki dreams of going to college and pursuing her own goals, so she's not thrilled about the idea of just finishing high school and settling into an arranged marriage. Then, one day, Nishiki meets Atsumori-kun, a high school freshman who is acquainted with her grandfather, and while the two are out on a date at a festival, Atsumori encourages Nishiki to run away and elope with him. Of course, the idea of eloping appears to be a joke on the surface, but Atsumori points out that Nishiki could genuinely solve her problems by going away to a prestigious high school in Tokyo, heading right to college once that's done, and then pursuing a career of her choice. And so, 2 years later, Nishiki arrives at a prestigious high school in Tokyo that only has two types of students: the wealthy or those who demonstrate extremely high levels of merit. And of course, Nishiki chose to attend the same school as Atsumori, but he initially pretends that he doesn't remember her, until he slips up and calls her by the nickname Weasel, which he used when they first met. And even after he admits to remembering her, he tends to give her the cold shoulder, like when he acts like he doesn't want to go on a picnic with her. But despite that, the warm-hearted and endearing moments do continue to pop up between them in the mix of things, so you will have to read on to see how their potential love can overcome the expectations and strict limitations of both of their families, as well as Atsumori's potential reluctance. And the last thing I want to point out is, one of the opening pages of Volume 1 describes Nishiki as a girl who worries a lot, which initially made me think she was going to be a shy character and probably a bit on the weaker side as an individual. But I think Nishiki is actually a strong female protagonist, and I really admire that about her. After all, it takes some guts to straight out say I love you, and I want to marry you to someone you like. And it takes serious dedication to study and work your butt off to get into the same high-achieving school as the person you like, especially as a high schooler going off to a big city that's far away from home. So Nishiki herself gets the highest ratings from me as a character, and I think you'll also enjoy watching her love story unfold. Our next story is similar to Atsumori-kun's Bride-to-Be in that we meet a female protagonist who lives in the countryside and is tired of her mundane surroundings, and then ends up at high school in Tokyo. Suzune Yosano's father ends up going to Bangladesh on a temporary business venture, and her mother decides to accompany her father. Thus, her parents send her to her uncle's place in Tokyo, and upon arriving in the big city, she meets a hipster who she looks upon with suspicion, and later finds out that he's friends with her uncle. But it doesn't end there, because hipster guy also ends up being her new teacher, shishiosensei. So, Suzune begins her new school life and struggles to fit in since she's a country girl, but she does come across occasional kindness, such as when this guy shares his textbook with her. However, Suzune still feels the struggle of making new friends in such a new setting, and Shishio-sensei encourages her to be a bit less nervous and not overcomplicate her approach to friendship. So, Suzune decides to keep trying and starts by thanking Daiki Mamura for lending her his textbook. And, after thanking him, she grabs his hand preparing to ask a question, and he blushes profusely since he's not a big fan of girls and isn't used to dealing with them. But Suzune manages to ask him to be her friend, and he agrees. But making a new friend doesn't eliminate all social struggles, because next, Suzune meets this girl, who ends up acting friendly but gives Suzune the wrong directions to a meetup. And guess who ends up coming to her rescue and slowly winning her affections? That's right, our boy Shishio-sensei. So if you enjoy love triangles or forbidden romance, this will be another solid manga to read since we have Suzune, Shishio, and Mamura all developing strong emotions. And of course you'll want to know what happens with the bully girl and other social challenges. And lastly, we have Waiting for Spring, a shoujo that doesn't involve moving from the country to Tokyo. Instead, we start off with Mitsuki Haruno, a student and cafe waitress who is approached by a boy who wants to speak with her while she is at work. We immediately are left under the impression that a confession is about to follow, but the boy tells her that the guy who really wants to talk with her will arrive soon, and then that guy tells his other three friends that Mitsuki is the wrong girl. Mitsuki also sees a young girl who is always alone at the park across from her cafe, and guess who goes to the lonely girl's rescue? That's right, the four bros who pulled Mitsuki out of work earlier and happened to be basketball stars from her school. And after witnessing the act of kindness unfold, Mitsuki becomes touched and becomes friends with the four boys. And what we end up with is a reverse harem of sorts with one girl and multiple guys. And eventually there may be even more love contenders that I won't mention to avoid spoilers. But if you enjoy romance, harems, or sports, then this will definitely be a manga that's up your alley. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please remember to leave a like, comment to tell me which manga you might try, or recommend other shoujo for me to read, and subscribe for more anime, gaming, manga, card collecting, and figurine unboxing content. Thanks for watching, and see ya.